Do that. Yes.
Hey, it is 6:01. Right, go ahead. Start the commission meeting for August 6th. I'd like to welcome those who joined us tonight. We'll start with the Pledge of Allegiance and an opening prayer. If each of you please join us in the pledge. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Kind Heavenly Father, we're thankful to you this evening for the opportunity to come and represent the citizens of Bellevue. We're thankful for this wonderful community that we live in, and we ask that you give us system. We will make the choices that are best for this community, that will be able to allow us to continue to join together and to enjoy this wonderful community. We ask that you be with our armed forces, our local fire and police officers and our staff that work so hard for us. Be with them and protect them always. These things we know we ask this night in the name of Jesus Christ. Amen. Here we have a few items in front of us. First is commissioners have had a chance to read the agenda for tonight. Is there anyone that needs to make a declaration of conflicts of interest? And then for tonight, we'll move on to our items for minutes. We have a review and consideration of the planning commission meeting minutes prepared for February 5th, 2026, March 5th, 2026, and June 25th, 2026. Are there any corrections that have not been submitted that need to be submitted?
I have a couple of questions.
Okay.
On the February 5th minutes, on page 9, the very last page, we're discussing, I'll just read you the motion. Motion to recommend approval by Commissioner Cotter, seconded by Commissioner Stokes. Conditions, recommendations for buffer and open space, and final review by legal. But it never says what we voted on that item number 4.
Okay, I'll get that reviewed.
And do you remember what it was?
I didn't print that page. You had-
What was the item?
You were excused, as a matter of fact.
What was
It was
the,
number 4, and I didn't print the entire minutes. But in any case, February 5th, item number 4, what's the verdict? And then on March 5th, this will be item number 3. We're talking about the Pleasant View Far West project down there by the freeway. On page 4, we mentioned Weaver County parcels, couple parcels that sum up to about 8 acres. That the city is looking to do maybe a hotel and some other detention pond and things on, but we didn't really give an address or a location for that. I mean, the average person reading that is not going to have any idea where those parcels are. We could maybe just make a note in there of north of the Maverick and by the freeway, you know.
But it's listed as a parcel. That's how
It gives
discussed it. So that's.
But it just seems like generally we give an approximate address, even if we're talking individual parcels.
it had an approximate address on the
Yeah,
agenda.
on the agenda.
Yeah.
So it's still.
Anyway. Under the minutes themselves.
Yeah.
There's no.
We can
mention
just
of-
add what was on the agenda.
Yeah.
Yeah. All
And thank you. Anything else?
the June 25th meeting, I was happily unable to attend. That's how I think it was one of the saddest chapters of Pleasant View Planning Commission. Anyway, that was the sober, enough to cause an otherwise sober person to take up drinking.
Didn't see it that way, but that's an interesting observation. Hearing no other changes, do we have a motion to accept the planning commission meetings with the adjustments suggested to me?
I'll motion to adjust the minutes as recommended.
Any has made a motion to adjust and to accept. For a second. I'll second it. We have a second by Jeff. All in favor, say aye. Any opposed? Okay, go ahead and we'll move on for the record. So far, we have David, Mona, Jeff, and John, Brian, and David in the house for this. And Nick, okay, there he is, and Nick in the house. See that. We'll go ahead to our administrative items. Our first is the A site plan and consideration of the site plan and the addition to an existing business located at 3145 North and 89 in MCM zone. This is also known as the Wasatch Custom Cabinets location. Go ahead. Excuse me. Not to excuse Tammy was able not to be with us tonight, but we asked individual there to prepare and staff presentation.
Okay, so Wasatch Custom Cabinets has applied for a site plan amendment 3145 North, Highway 89. In the MCM zone, the purpose is to expand their business by adding approximately 2,000 square foot for 50 by 40 addition onto their building. I'm coming into this kind of midstream, so I had to get updated from our engineer. The engineering comments that were provided to the applicant is that we haven't received the stormwater calculations to confirm that detention or retention is sufficient. They need to show all their existing site utilities on their site plan, and then they requested that the applicant coordinate with UDOT. Tuesday morning, I received an invitation to a virtual meeting with UDOT. After that meeting, it was determined, UDOT directed the applicant that they would need to reduce their access there along Highway 89 to a maximum of 50 feet, which means there can be changes to the frontage of that, which could impact their stormwater calculations that we haven't received already. So the recommendations from our engineering was that no site work may commence until all of those are accepted. All the plans have been accepted by the city. We hold a pre-construction. They provide their stormwater permits, and then UDOT asked that we not grant any permits until the conditional access permit is granted and approved by UDOT. We have not received any public comment on this at this time. This is set for a public hearing. With the additional information from UDOT and the lack of the stormwater calculations, staff recommendation would be to table it for those site plan adjustments and corrections to be made. Alternatively, the commission has the opportunity to approve it with contingencies that are listed there from the staff recommendations. Just for reference, this is the two parcels there. They're currently going through a minor subdivision to consolidate those two lots. So the addition that they have proposed on there will not cross parcel lines. It will be contained on that property once it's combined, and that just needs DRC approval. So it is not coming before the planning commission. And this shows you the proposed addition.
Is we can approve it with all the conditions, deny it if there are specific reasons And we table it based on the recommendation, because of so many open items are still there. This is a public, we need to have a public hearing. My question, I guess, suggestion would be then to go on open the public hearing. If there's a thought, we might table it until we have this information and have a public hearing at that time, or is it not?
You can hold the public hearing now, and then you wouldn't have to hold it when it comes back. If you feel like the items on the list are not something that are gonna cause, any public outrage or public concern, or it's the stormwater and us just determining if they can retain that on their property. I don't know if that's gonna cause you concern that you'd need to have a public hearing postponed. Yeah, I'm not positive if your applicant is here. Yes, they are here, so if you want to allow them an opportunity to address the commission, you're welcome to do that as
Let's
well.
go ahead. Since there's a potential of tabling it, which could prolong or push this off, but we'll go ahead and ask the petitioner to come up, state their name and address for the record, please.
So my name is BJ Wyatt, address of the business, 145 North, Highway 9. Yeah.
And with the items that are brought up, was there anything that you would like to address or make us aware of for this evening's meeting?
No, it's just definitely, we've been in business for 40 years. Our main original building, small one, right, been on the highway for 80 years. So it was probably a 2-lane highway when that building was established, right? So yeah, we definitely have to do some food with UDOT and everything else to make it compliant, which we're willing to do. Right now, we are currently working with the civil engineer on just getting the site out for the stormwater retention and all that kind of stuff. Yeah, a lot of this is kind of triggered, I feel like, because we're trying to combine the two parcels, you own and it just seems to be growing bigger than what I thought doing a building addition would be, so.
It always adds more to it. Are you pretty well understand what they're asking and particularly?
Yeah.
Question for the petitioner. I'm excited to see it, but that's great.
Yeah.
It's
It's a great growing business.
More tax version, right?
I like to see you guys busy, put it with you before. Lead time so long, that's the way, that's a good business to have.
Well, I'm just curious if you had any other drawings or something to maybe point out where you're looking to do the detention basin and the highway access and.
Yeah, I can show you, so.
Have a pointer, I guess, maybe.
Oh, that's working.
So, right now you have the access across the street here for that subdivision. So they're wanting us to get pictures of access across here, so we're just gonna end up doing that barrier on here and fencing the rest across the front. With doing that, I have to add parking here. As you can tell, I'm not gonna have any parking in front of the business, so I was gonna do custom parking here. The rest of the course, we do parking on site. Site retention is hard, like we own all the way to the railroad track, so it's back farther. So depending on what information I get from Public Works, we're just gonna do retention in the back of our property, similar to the Bailey's did back as well, just right. So,
Any other questions?
Is the reason they haven't even been approached, is that simply because they're combining the parcels? Is that like, because they already have access, I'm just wondering why all of a sudden.
I believe, and Andy, correct me, but I believe it's because we're having to do the minor subdivision, triggered all this, is that correct?
It's not necessarily the minor subdivision, that's a part of it, but once you make adjustment or make alterations to what's there, you have to bring your property up into conformity, yep.
Most all of ours. Yeah.
Mhm.
It's fine.
Which I understand with time, you have.
Other questions from the commission? Okay, thank you. We have a motion to open to a public hearing. All motion to open to a public hearing. There motion in a second.
Sorry.
Second by David. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay, is there anybody from the audience who would like to address us on this topic? Anybody from the audience? Hearing no one, the motion to close the public hearing. Motion to close the public hearing, can you get a motion, second? Second. Dave, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay, unanimous. We're now open for discussions, any questions for staff, everybody here. We can accept it with all the conditions. But I think we have a lot more reason to table it, maybe not conditions, because it sounds like if this happens, it cut that to this. It doesn't sound like it will delay them from what they're doing right now, because they're already working.
Can I make a statement?
Mhm.
I've personally visited the site, and I think they're making a hullabaloo out of nothing. This is a growing business. They're just adding to an existing building. The state of Utah is making big fuss over the highway to align with the street that's across the street, and no one is going to access from this building. I just think we're tripped up in a lot of technicalities, and a lot of bureaucrats that are dictating how an existing business can function. And I feel like we should bend over backwards to allow an existing successful business to operate and expand.
And I fully agree with the helping that business to expand. But we have regulations to, and the two lots are being connected.
It doesn't have to be. I mean, honestly, the easiest way to have done this would have been a lot line adjustment, which he requested initially. You could have a secondary parcel that they haven't been using up until now. Frankly, that other parcel could just disappear and life would go on happy. There's no reason to trip this business up over technicalities.
Like, you feel like stormwater is just a technicality,
You've got plenty of land behind the building to have a detention basin.
but we don't have any type of calculations or any plan on how he's going to
We need to
manage
make
that.
allowance for that. We can put conditions, but there's no sense forcing them to come back another month from now to represent.
But you're bringing up two things. I mean, you're basically trying to say we're going to go around our standards to say, when this takes place, we need stormwater capital.
Right, but the
We're
alternative,
not gonna make a change for him. You made a statement that, well, we should line it up. That is a state.
that's Utah Department, it's the Department of Transportation. We don't have control over that, but
But
it
on
is.
that road, they will be limiting how many access points. And in some ways, we're probably lucky if they get an access point because we already have been told by the state many times that they will start combining a lot of access points. So it's probably a good thing he's still getting an access.
However, they're combining it to the north of this property, which is like a choke point. They're making
But that's not-
a working business have to go through a funnel to get into their business. It shouldn't have gone as a minor subdivision, I don't think, in the first
It did
place.
not meet the qualifications for a boundary adjustment. There are certain things that you have to be limited to in order to have a boundary adjustment versus a minor subdivision.
Should they have just disposed of the second parcel? It's not like he needs two separate parcels. He's not gonna subdivide it.
There's not a process to dispose of a parcel.
The disposal of that, you have.
Anyway, I'm just saying, you got a lot of hoops here for someone who's trying to run a business. And I just think it's unfortunate. Right, but we can simplify life by not requiring to come back and agree.
So let's pull this back to what we do control. So he's actually coming and we're going to combine them. He's working with UDOT and he's going to work with our engineers. So that's where we stand at this point.
Right, so the second option was said that if the commission prefers to approve the application, staff recommends that a conditional approval requiring final UDOT approval and revised engineering plans before issuance of any permits. However, if the process access alignment is still uncertain and may potentially change the site layout, da, da, da. Anyway, I think we can approve it with condition. That was what staff was the alternative.
Do we know what's right approximate playing table for when these things be?
For the next month.
My information will be that for the conditions, only because things like say stormwater, I'm relying on engineering. It's not, I'm gonna look at it and go, okay. And, you know, not, you know, so, but that would be my inclination was to let the engineers and staff work through those issues and let them move the process along and not really delay it, just to come back to the commission for things that we're gonna rely on for a professional to review anyway.
And I would say that my only reason for recommending tabling it is because the site plan before you could change quite a bit.
So,
So you're approving something that you don't
So
necessarily, if the parking along the front changes, then the parking's gonna have to be accounted for. The detention's not on your site plan. Additionally, like UDOT wants them to expand the asphalt along the front and add a cross-access easement on the back.
yeah.
So that's my only reasoning.
Because
Because you have,
And come back to that's why it's probably good that he works it out with them. And says, here it is now, that it's going to be, so there's no major changes.
But if we conditionally approved it and it changed, then it would have to come back to say.
But it's gotta change anyway, what he just says. Based on whatever.
Yeah, I see what you're saying.
yeah, so if you approve it conditionally with,
So we're approving
with
something we don't know
complying,
what it is.
right, and so that's the only reason why I say
Yeah, that's about.
I would recommend tabling, but you do have the option to approve it with the contingencies.
And the point I always look at is, we want to keep things moving as this body, but I don't feel like this is slowing down because it's going to take him that long to get there anyway to come back.
How long does it take for it to come back to us? He's paid.
If we get it soon enough, it could be the next meeting, right?
Correct.
Yeah, we just don't make his progress. Well, I agree with everybody.
Which again, you're the voting body, so I'm just telling you why the recommendation was made that way and what your options are.
Doesn't sound like it's relevant. Okay, but additionally, it's that.
If there are significant changes to the site plan, yes.
Does it change his fee structure or anything like that at the table? Does
Nope.
it stay at money or anything like that?
It would be nice to know your Steve will progress. And then that was the city. City, do their jobs down.
If someone might change motion, sounds like we're heading in the direction. I can't, I would.
I'll make a motion that we table administrative item A for site plan amendment for property located at 3145 North Highway 89. And that we would like to see the missing stormwater permits resolved and we got conditional access permit resolved. And then we have any concerns the staff has.
Mine's made no motion to table any considerations as outlined by staff engineering. We have a second. I'll second the motion. We have a second. Any discussion on the motion? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed?
Still with my standard position, I think we're standing in the way of an operating business or technicalities.
Those that are in opposition? Okay. For the record, all in favor, all but one, David, does, and look forward to working with them, getting it taken care of, which is good. Our next item is 3B subdivision plot amendment, consideration of amendments to the records recorded subdivision located at 395 West, 4400 North, the Majestic subdivision. To require public hearing, will turn the time over to Angel to.
I agree with you, you would mind over you.
Is that better?
Yes.
I like to make eye contact, but I feel like
Just tell them turns.
anyways, as Chairman Neff explained, this is located at 395 West, 4400 North. This plat amendment also does affect 377 west, 4400 north. Your applicant, Chris Cave, is present, on behalf of the Ward family. The applicant has come forward to redesignate the wetlands delineation on this lot. I'd like to scroll up, you can see over. Sorry, it's not scrolling. So here's lot, with the address 395 west and then 377 here. This lot, I believe all but this small portion right here up front was designated wetlands when the subdivision was first developed and recorded. There was a plat note that this was a restricted lot and that could not be a buildable lot until a redesignation of the wetlands had occurred. And the applicant has submitted a redesignation to the Army Corps of Engineers. This is the new wetlands designation here. This is a channel, and then around it is the wetlands designation. We do have a letter on file. I included it in my presentation tonight. Commissioner Morris came in and asked about that letter. So if you're interested in seeing the actual letter, I do have it that I can pull up here. But the Army Corps of Engineers agreed with this redelineation of the wetlands. It has been reviewed by Engineering and Public Works. They have asked him to designate an easement along the full west side of the property here, which they, I believe, have put onto their corrective plat. And then they've asked them to put easement all around this here, rather than just designating the wetlands, to make it a wetlands easement so that that channel can't be altered there. And that would make this a buildable lot as far as dimensions go. If you look at this map here, you can see this swimming pool is awful close and may or may not be encroaching upon the line there. So this will correct that issue to just make sure that everybody's improvements are on their own. It complies with everything, with the few minor corrections recommended by engineering. And so staff have recommended for site or this subdivision.
Yes, petitioner here tonight, state your name and the address for the record.
My name is Chris Cava, 4145 Roger.
Anything else?
You might, so, Chris.
Nope, it's not close.
Maybe I just need to name it.
He's got it.
Now I feel like Andrew.
I'm just gonna hide them.
Because it's so tight. We don't want to upset the YouTube. Yeah, no. So like Andrea said, we did hire a wetlands consultant to go up and do the wetlands delineation. We had that surveyed in. The dimensions of that parcel have been added to the revised plat. Plat has been approved by Weaver County and by Shane Taggart, the engineer. Made those changes. We have not added that 10-foot PU in the west line, but we will, along the west line. And then the neighbor, Mr. Hall, we did with him, the pool was encroaching on the lot. So that's why we've included the lot in the new lot. Because it clears up that acreage.
Any other question for the petitioner?
Can you tell me if you could end up with two buildable lots when you're done, is that the goal?
No,
You're
lot
combining.
22 is an existing lot, and we're realigning the property line between it. Lot 21 will be one lot.
So the whole would be combined.
Of the lot.
Expand by 20 feet?
No,
There's
no, there'll be a 10-foot public utility on the west side.
It looks like it's considerable compared to on either side.
It does have, I believe the building pad is 74 feet with the two setbacks, and it does have 100-foot frontage. So it is a compliant.
I'm not sure this question is for you. The available lot, which I think that that'll allow
If I had square feet mobile. And now it goes on that piece,
Yes,
there's a,
yeah, I have a plat that has the setbacks on it, but I didn't bring that with me, yes.
And that would be a requirement.
you make it complete.
They can make that law, but then you can't go on it unless it's, you can't, you know, that's not the intent. And, yeah, it's different than the intent. The intent is. There was a question here, and I think you had on one of your drawings. Do we have proper frontage? Still the.
Yes.
Minimum budget.
Yeah, there's 100, I believe it's at 101.34 or something like that.
Just
At
having,
the 30-foot setback.
having driven up and seen it, it just seems very narrow compared to the neighbors.
Yeah, that's what I.
Yeah, it would be a unique house that's on there, but it does have a building path that's reasonable.
Is it part of an HOA or is there anything in place?
No, there's no HOA.
It's fairly steep too. What's your slope there? Looks like 20% anyway.
It's not, from the curb to the top of the wetlands back there there's about a 12-foot difference from the curb down, and there's 100 feet there at least, so it's less than 20%.
Okay. I'm sure the neighbors would love to see it develop just because it's kind of, kind of overgrown currently.
Any other questions?
Yeah, this, I don't think this has bearing, the question doesn't have bearing on what I'm doing, but I was asked by something, he was interested in buying one. Does it have utilities, stuff, to a lot, is that?
Yes, it's got a water meter. The secondary water is on the east side. We don't know where the sewer lateral is. We're assuming it's there. There's no as-bills from the city.
That is their indications that there's not sewer or power on the lot. We should have to get negative on the product. Right.
Yeah, I mean,
You don't know. I did.
we're assuming the sewer's there because there's a water meter there. So usually when they put in laterals, they would put a water and a sewer lateral. Power would be in the park strip, so they just pull it through the closest power.
And then you would, you have to look at it. So, yeah.
Correct, yes.
Right, okay. Anything else for the petition? Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
This requires a public hearing, so we will make a motion open for a public hearing.
Make a motion, we open the public hearing for the subdivision plat amendment, item 3B.
Just made a motion, we have a second. I'll second. Second. Yeah. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Okay, we're up for a public hearing. Anybody would like to comment on this property or this topic? That's that. Like to talk to them? Okay, hearing none, we'll take motion to close the public hearing. Motion to close the public hearing. Motion, that's second. Second. Second, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
And we're now closing the public hearing, open for discussion, John.
Mr. Sheridan.
Well, Lord, comment. I live in this neighborhood, 300 feet north of the lot. And I've seen the approvals from the Corps of Engineers and also from the experts. All I see the comments that I've seen over the last 13, 14 years. This is the first year, this summer, actually, the first year that the 4400 North Street, that intersection from 48 North and 48 West doesn't have water seeping all the time, up to about next year for the last decade.
Coming down the hill.
Just keeping them through the road. If there's cracks in the road, there's potholes there. I've been told that it's not been put on the city yet. The road's not on the schedule because of all of that. It's there. We haven't seen anything. It's a bad. They do fill up the potholes with soil. There's 4 or 5 of them. So I am concerned about that because I haven't seen the water change until this last couple of months. It was already weather. I know when our house was built, I didn't build the house with the contractor built our house. When we put in the foundation, city engineer, not city inspector, and did the time, that person at the time. They delayed building foundations at a point where I had a pole, and it took them a long time to find water, all dried up. To build the next pole, took them about 2 months to, not this year, took them about 2 months to drink the water out. And they can figure out to. So there's water there, there's an underground stream that I stole from the city. There's a stream there. This portion is gravel. But I don't know. I don't know what, how that affects the revenue.
So Andrew,
Just an experience.
this is not one that comes before Australia, it's maybe south from that. Okay. Process, basically, it was originally reported as R because it got into the back to its local spot. But this body does not remove the R from it, it would be
The Corps of Engineers.
Corps of Engineers that have to do all the steps, and they have done those steps, and that's what we're giving. That's the paperwork you said is that available, you call it the single. So that's not this body's determination to say, yes, it's no longer a water bubble, or have a change in water. I can use that same discussion in several parts of this, in the city, and some year when we get water again, I can almost guarantee I can tell you whether several days. But water didn't exist, but
My thoughts lead to what is the, sort of like look at see. It's probably one developer and builder. That in the city.
If what happens,
If there's a water issue, is the city liable in any way? In the future.
it depends on what the water issue is, if you're asking broadly. But as far as the wetlands go, that's not our determination on, we don't redelineate that, the Corps does. So
and then it's up to the developer and their engineer to decide if it was on grade or. Try to build how they can
That's all,
manage the water, right?
that's the purpose of why the Corps of Engineers had to go through all those hoops, so that they could sign on it, saying that. That's what cause having input versus just one neighbor's office, so.
right, so luckily, the Corps is the one that's made this designation, not the city itself.
Yeah, the city's not liable for groundwater issues.
Correct. Totally thought, my thought process just went out the door. Oh, it could fall under the sensitive lands overlay as well, so we would require, if it did, we would require a conditional use permit and a site plan be approved for the home itself, which could require some geotech studies. So it's just depending on the slope and, having the wetlands there, it could meet that potential for having to go through a few extra little steps before they could build the home.
And that would be when they bring in the staff, or the staff review the plot. And then make any recommendations or suggestions.
Yes, and if it was a conditional use permit, that would come before this body.
Can I ask for a point of clarification? On the cover page, down at the very bottom there, it says additionally, the plat amendment is to adjust the property boundary between lots 16R and 17. The adjoining boundary line is being adjusted to nothing. There's nothing after that. Are we going to fill that in sometime or just stops right there? And then the next line talks about Deer Crest.
I think that's exciting.
It's kind of got thrown in there somehow. I'm just wondering what the end of the sentence is supposed to mean.
So this was started by Tammy and finished up by me quickly on Tuesday as you got the packet. So the Deer Crest in there is my fault not taking that out. So yes.
How do we end that sentence of being adjusted to? Is that like a to be determined type thing, or is that?
No, it's being adjusted to accommodate that pool being fully contained on its own lot. And then the actual property line movement is designated there on the plat that has been submitted.
Okay, I just wonder if we should complete that sentence. I don't know if anybody else actually reads these.
I'm glad that you do. Yeah,
So is it 16 and 17 or 21 and 22?
so originally it was. Originally 16 and 17. The notes from engineering came back to renumber to 21 and 22, and I don't know if that's because of the amendment. I know that in Deer Crest, speaking of Deer Crest, we had a lot that they combined the two lots and they had to renumber that lot. Because of that change, that amendment to the subdivision, so that's probably what happened here.
Okay.
So what should we, we're really doing 21 and 22?
Yes.
I don't know, like I say, whether this actually becomes part of the record or not.
That idea, typically we approve this is with the condition that it's reviewed by staff updating. That's both, that's also on the original parcel. Giving the parcel location 67.
Yes, and their parcel numbers won't change, their lot numbers will,
Okay.
yeah. And there were a few, like with the easement on the west side of the property, there are a few notes that we like to make sure are taken care of before it gets recorded.
Maybe there's something else we can all hear what's on the board. Okay. Any other questions, comments? Discussion? I'll make a motion that they review also, I know that's one of the things that we are voting on the lot line adjustment. Voting on the lot line adjustment.
So the plat amendment is amending the delineation of, because this has to be recorded through Weber County. So the original plat has the wetlands through the whole entire, so you are approving the redelineation, but you didn't designate the redelineation. That makes sense.
Thoughts on that, Joe? See, what I understand, okay. All right.
All right, I'll motion to approve, the lot line amendment, the staff recommended with the conditions of engineering review and or comments provided, yeah.
Okay, you have a motion by Dean for approval of lot line adding some changes. You have a second? Second. We can't have two vote because I know the clerk here, so both of you have to sit down on the list, so. Okay, we have a second by Brian. Any discussion on the motion? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed?
Point of order.
Thank you, guys.
Do you recall who was the second on opening the public hearing? Jeff was the motion.
Oh, I was over. Something like
Brian. Any motion for the opening public?
that.
Thank you.
Okay. All right, let's go ahead and we'll move to legislative items, 4A. Rezone, consideration of a rezone recommendation to city council. Approximately 1.03 acres of land located approximately 3250 north, 1,000 west. A2 and RA20 to RA20 and RA15 low density residential. This will require public hearing and turn over to the.
Okay, so you have before you, as Chairman said, the application for a rezone from the A2 and RE20 zone to the RE20 and RE15 zone. This is a parcel of property on 1,000 West that fronts two streets. So the lot itself has roads on both sides. The applicant would like to subdivide that into two buildable lots. It does match the surrounding area, as you can see. The designation on the future land use map does match what they are requesting. And then concurrently, there is a minor subdivision process, and that just is DRC approval, so that's why you don't see it before you tonight. But he is going through that process there to subdivide that parcel into two pieces, so he can have one home facing this lot and one home or this road, and then another home facing the other road. Where it meets the general plan designation, staff would recommend approval.
We have a petitioner here this evening. Come up, state your name and the address for the record, please.
Okay, Roger Jensen, I grew up on this property, but I currently live at 75-1186 Keel Molka Drive in Honolulu, Hawaii. And my business owns this property. And I would like to ask for rezoning so we can split this into a lot for the existing home and a lot for future home for me to build on. The gist of it, when I was a kid, I couldn't wait to move away. Now I can't wait to move back.
Are you hoping to, what, besides it,
What's that?
you hoping to have a second home there or?
Yeah, summer home. I like winter in Hawaii.
Sure.
Right?
Okay, any questions for the petitioner?
Can you tell me a little more on the history? I mean, I think everybody has recognized that lot as an eyesore for the last 20 years.
My brother was one of the best porters in the state.
You got like 10 different cars back on the back lot.
Yeah, we moved quite a few of them.
So what is the future holder? I mean, can we anticipate that it will improve?
It is improving.
Yes.
I would say about 15 dump truck loads, trash, and so far about 4 dump truck loads of scrap metal. Unfortunately, scrap is a very low price, but
Oh, is your brother out of the picture now? Or?
he passed away. He had kind of a life estate on my business bought it a couple of years.
No, anything would be an improvement. I'm just curious what you had in mind.
Is there specific reason why we're looking at R15 or that just goes to R15 lots around?
Well, I think we need the R15 because of the square footage of lot 1.
Yeah, the lot one is only 17, little over 17,000 square feet, so it would be the 15 designation. It doesn't meet the,
Making a change. Basically.
that's not the subdivision that they've presented, so that's why the request is just, yeah, so that, yeah.
That's what I was asking.
I think it has to be 20,000.
Yeah.
And we're 17. So.
It also matches.
130, isn't the second one 7?
Yeah, I don't know. My buddy said, why don't you go for R20 because it's less restricted. Good point.
My thought is there's 20 or 20 or 20, and then we are 15 R15. 2 R15 lots.
And I thought of that, well, but it's already 20 on one side, 20, but 15. Yeah, so I mean, at first I was thinking same as you, that doesn't bother me, because you're not creating a joint holding zone, right? Because you've already got both of them, right?
That's the transition, kind of block, kind of block.
One of them's a 20, one of them's a 15.
Yeah, it's already there.
Well, right now it's just
matching that too.
I guess I'm saying it's 2 lots now, or is it 1?
That's one lot,
It's 1 lot, so we're creating like 15 lots.
which will be next to the other article.
And across the street from like 20.
Yeah, but it'll be matched up to our 15, right?
R20 or 20 or something.
But if this one didn't exist, that's.
Well, we're making them bigger, because yeah, it's not a one, it's a bigger one. Bigger one.
I think we just want to do whatever's legal. Yeah.
And then what, is there a precedent for that? Because these are all larger than our one. They're big, they're zoned R15, but they're in 2 acre, well, 1 acre lots there. Now, maybe not, they're up there, this was flat.
Well, you got the school property that you'll never be able to do anything on the backside, but
I think that's what's allowing this one to be done.
that's a lot of road up to.
Use that. So that's why you can do this in the future. For the next one, you can do the same thing in North.
And I think that was discussed when that was put in, somebody asked that same simple question, like, could you just make like the 15 and 7? That was, I remember that being a question, and I took it as, we're gonna keep on going, the part of it is, if it's on the general plan, if that's already, I'll try to get you can ask that. My opinion would be this, thinking about this. Mention it next week, but.
Yeah, that's just, my own business, we're making the change now. Okay, cleaner.
Which could look to 20.
That's it, that's my point, it's 1.03 is what the. Right, it's 1.03 basically, good.
But we're under contract to sell an RE 15 block with the housing, RE 15 size block,
Absolutely, very lot.
the bigger lots for me.
It looked like when I read it, that the western side was gonna be the largest lot.
Right, right.
We're kind of already RE 20 now. Or 18 demands. Yes.
Any other questions for the petition? Thank you.
Thank
Um, Go ahead and we'll open to the public hearing.
I'll make a motion that we open our public hearing.
Motion, do a second? I'll second. Second by Dave, all in favor, say aye. And now public hearings, if anybody from the public audience would like to address the public. Hearing no comments, the motion to close. Motion to close the public hearing, just need motion to close, second. Right, I got a second. Close, all in favor, say aye. Then I close the public hearing, open for discussion.
Yeah, well, I guess that you want clarification. Yes, west. This is, it's on the R20 in the western portion, 15,000 west. The smaller portion is on A2 on the eastern side, 75. Was the R20 going to be on the west or on the east on 75?
No, so as it stands right now, there's that little strip on the east side that's currently A2, and the rest of it on the west, it's, yeah. Yep, let me zoom in a little bit. So this strip right now is currently A2 here. And then the rest on the west side of that right now as it stands is RE20. So the RE15 would actually be from this side west. And then the remainder of the RE20 and the A2 would go to just RE20. Yes, yes.
So that's what we're looking at.
Yeah. So referencing the RE20 on the west side is what, how it stands currently.
Yes, please.
If I provided a proposed plan, if we show that, I think that answers the question. The area.
Don't have it with it, yeah, just the number of subdivisions, you don't have that.
I have it right here, if you wanted to pass it down.
Okay.
Okay, any other discussion, questions? Go ahead, if someone like to make a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve as staff is recommended for the rezoning according to the city's general plan. Solve the issue of the split zone first.
He's made a motion to approve with recommendation.
Do you need that?
We get approval, we get approval of
You would be a recommendation.
recommendations. We made a motion to recommend these approval. Staff reported, we have a second. I'll second it. Judges, second.
Can I ask for some clarification before we vote?
We have opened up for discussions. I just wanted to get one quick comment, from my standpoint. John, thank you for your comments on it. I feel like we're making no specifics, there are some that should be in some kind of a wolf, and that's why I lean towards that, but even the discussions. So I like the way it kind of cleans up the corner, that's kind of like,
Well, I'm just wondering, do you plan to live on 1000 West or on 975 West?
The proposed lot 2 would be on 975.
And you plan to reside on which side?
Yeah, but that's really not.
And well, the question is, and I think it's kind of a broader issue. Pleasant View has a lousy history of not policing junky lots. And if we're gonna create 2 junky lots, I'm not in favor of that.
That's not a relevant question.
It's gonna be way better than it was.
Yeah, the relevant is probably when someone's asking for a petition to the rezoning portion. As much as, I think everyone may have asked the question before, of how would police or enforce, maybe that's a better word, enforce some of the regulations. So that's all, I think everybody, follows something that they have that's bothering them.
We
But
have a
anything
great
that's-
code enforcement officer right now, so if you have issues, either send them to me and I'll pass them along to her. Or you can get a hold of Sarah Hayes with the police department, she's fantastic.
That's great. I mean,
She has a lot to tackle.
in my opinion, this is a but thing, matter of petition, they're going to probably back. This would clean up by the
I'm hopeful.
Just for clarification, when, it was recommended to approve this, we didn't include that it was, which item it was or the address. Do we need to include that? Or is it implied since this is what we're talking about?
It's 1 acre, which is the 3250 or 1,000 square. And it's
It's legislative item 4A. I'm just saying that when he made the recommendation, he didn't include that or the address. So I'm just asking if we
I
need
got you, I
to,
got you.
I'm just asking if we need to include that or if it's implied and.
We can add it in. If that,
would
if
be
that
my
makes,
recommendation.
and then it's up to you to confirm that. If he's okay with that. Amending the
That's
motion,
probably just because we didn't read that as part of the.
right, so if Dean is okay. with that.
Clarification, you're okay with us adding that your recommendation is to recommend to this council. 3250 more 1,000 west rezone. You're okay with that, then as such, yes, please, and Jeffrey, you do the second, you're okay, so our first and second, and noted the amendment change to recommendation. Any other discussion? Good point. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Okay, that was unanimous. Thank you. We continue to work with the city and finish getting that cleaned up. Our next item is 4B, which is the general plan amendment. Consideration and recommendation to the city council for a general plan amendment, 5 acres of land located approximately 540 west and 300 north, 5 to 82. And if you like to present this one, this is kind of two part. So we're going to present both at the same time.
Right,
Just one.
yeah, it's 2 separate items on your agenda, however, it is 1 staff report and they go hand in hand, as you guys know. The petitioner is requesting a zone change and it doesn't comply with the current general plan, so that's why he's requesting a general plan amendment as well. So, he submitted. Here's the property in question, currently zoned to A5. He is requesting it be rezoned to A2. It is contiguous with 2 parcels that are A2. And he is, I'm sorry, I didn't write the staff report, I'm sorry. The purpose of him doing this is to be able to put a second buildable lot on the back of this property. That would be accessed through Val Christopherson's subdivision, the Christopherson, or Val Paul's Christopherson Ranch subdivision. Staff doesn't necessarily have a recommendation on this. If you were to amend the general plan, then it would be compliant. So the recommendation is really based on how you handle one, and then the second one would follow. Your petitioner is here and we have not received any public comment at this point.
For clarification, our first step will be specifically addressed in the general plan amendment. And if that was to pass, then we will move on to 4C, which is the new zone.
That's correct, and you are recommending body on both of these items.
So don't address first one, but second.
Depending on how you wanted to handle it, if you were to deny one or the other, they would still proceed to city council. Because it's a recommendation from this body. So if you, depending on your recommendation of the first, I would probably suggest you make a recommendation on the second one so that both of those items can go to the city council together.
Probably, and deny, if you recommend that you general planning, probably recommendation. Hey, questions, anything for staff before we ask the petition to come up? Okay, we'll ask the petition to come up, state your name and address for the record, please.
Brad Jones, 540 West, 4300 North. I think you all probably have dealt with this piece of property at the top of 500 West for multiple summers. All we're trying to do is do what you've allowed down, or this body has allowed down around us. This same developer did this to the west of us over 10 years ago. Took an A5 and went to A2, and now to the east of us, and now to the north of us. So we're surrounded by A2, and we're just saying, yeah, us too. So all we're asking is for the same thing.
Would that create a flag lot if you access through the Christopherson Ranch?
No, because that'll be cut in half.
The most they could do would be 2 lots if it's A2.
Right, but I just wonder if you're gonna get, I mean, the roads for the Fifth West continuation is through the middle of the property. So.
Right, so we have a verbal agreement with Val to do a land swap to give us access to 500 West.
That would be, that was part of it.
That should have been in some of the paperwork. It's a half acre to give us 150 foot frontage.
On the 4300 or on what?
On the new 500 West. So on the east side halfway up.
So what we're looking at is not really what the parcel would look like after the land swap.
Yeah, I didn't draw that, so.
So if the land swap were to go through, it would, bring the Christopherson Ranch property down here, adding to their open space because they can't reduce the open space that was approved. And then it would give him access through a lot on this side. In order for him to accomplish this, there are a lot of moving parts. This is the first step, for him to accomplish that.
500 in north.
Through this,
East side.
yeah, through this property here, this is an approved subdivision on the east side.
There's more dirt already, you can see fairly clearly if you drive up there, what but if we're wasting no time.
Don't get me started on that. They flooded our basement, never mind, yeah, it's, yeah.
Which would be another, you know. Okay, thank you very much.
Yeah.
This does require a public hearings, both of them, or just the rezone does not, or the general amendment does not.
The rezone requires public hearing.
Okay, so we'll go ahead and open for discussion on the general plan amendment. Any topics, thoughts, ideas?
We said, that's what we said, this, there's a body here, it is, it's the council, we also have to, it's. Not to make by the A2 all around.
Yeah, I've looked at this when we read this several times in a day, that's part of the reason this group originally denied this option, Frank, going through because of that, when the city council was sent back to us. And then we had to do it from the reason, because of the original general plan that was put in place. We have to go back to the general plan, the citizens helped us draft up the general plan said, this stays up there as the 5 acre lots. Someone else wrote, or if you actually look at the general plan, so everything from this west and north will stay at 5 acres. So then it was pushed through, and that doesn't mean that change, we have set any precedents. We are still based on the general plan. Now, I'm clarifying, I want to clarify, if I need to say something. Okay? So my first thought is that this option property, my one should never go through because it was against the general plan. Now we're going to say, well, we started something, go ahead, so. Question this group has to say is, okay, so they've done that, the next group comes in next month and they go, what's the? When we say the general plan is the general plan. I'm leaning towards those square, my first thought is no, we say no, general plan says no, we recommend no. Okay. All of this does is square it all up, and then that gives us the right to say we stick with the general plan going forward, right? I'm with you, doesn't set a precedence to change the general plan, but at least it does clean it up.
And I was jumping ahead from the general plan to this one, where you have its own so that if you have a difference. Correct, the general plan is. Living north is supposedly. A different density than what is, than what we saw.
And then one last,
I should say the, just.
one last point that I like. Okay, if we're gonna split it A5, at least let's say the A2, and it's not kind of maybe a bunch of them. Parcels, because if you got 5 acre, you can cut it at 2, so most I can do is 2. So I do have it like that. Comments, other thoughts, that was my thoughts.
I think 2A2 lots are gonna be quite a bit larger than what Val Hall's planning across the street. 100-foot frontage lots.
That'd be two lots of very.
So it's two acres.
Yeah,
One person.
it would, yes, one dwelling unit for
So
2
that'd be
acres.
substantially larger than what's on Fifth West.
The ones up above on the other was. Created to handle the development. They have to put greater.
Yeah, those are just personal residents and residents.
Comments, but that's not relevant to the city. Okay. Thoughts, be real quiet. Any questions, thoughts on this one?
I'm absorbing, but I really appreciate the conversation that's happening today. Appreciate questions are being asked, attention to detail. But I appreciate you brought it back to. And so to decide, just starting them.
I did have one other question. What happens to the existing, is there still existing home and outbuildings there on the south side?
Yes, and my understanding is that they'll maintain what's there and just make the back part of the parcel a buildable lot.
There's a residence on the frontage on 4300.
Final thoughts? Questions?
I really don't have to do that.
I like it, I think it makes sense personally, yeah. And then, especially as long as the lot is very. And having the opportunity now to get access to the other. That seems to be considering the side of the lot.
My only real concern would be the access off of Fifth West. And how that swap is gonna look. It'd be nice to see how that parcel will actually look.
So this, like I said, is the first step in a lengthy process to accomplish this, and those other items will come before you
Have a chance.
in time. Yes, because if they do the land swap, we will have to amend a development agreement to make that work. They'll have to swap those properties, and then he will have to subdivide that property, so you'll see everything coming through. Yeah.
Okay, you got a motion?
I'll make a motion that we, recommend approval of the general plan amendment for, approximately 540 West, 4300, 155 to 18.
Motion to recommend the city council. Approval for the, general plan, if I may. One second. Brian, second. Any discussion on the motion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, it's unanimous. We'll go ahead and move into item, 4C, which is consideration and recommendation to the city council for general plan amendment.
Oh, I apologize. I copied and pasted. That's the rezone.
That, okay. Carrie. Okay, so we're going to consideration and recommendation to city council for rezone for 5 acres of land located approximately 540 west, 4300 north, 3582. School required public hearing. Is there anything else I can do in this with this?
I don't believe so.
Hearing none, we can take a motion to open public hearings. Motion. You will be on. John, made a motion, do a second? I'll second it. Jeff, second, all in favor, say aye. Aye. Is there anybody from the public who would like to address it? Anybody from the public? You don't have to, Carson, that's how you're fine.
think we're good.
Okay, hearing none, we'll make a motion to close the public hearing. I'll move it, we close the public hearing, okay, make a motion, I'll have a second. Second by Brian, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Public hearing is now closed, until Director Carson does not approach, and changes. Yeah, as a first, we have to recognize that. Yeah. We'll go ahead and open for discussion, questions or thoughts on this. There again, I will be one of those that will stick to the general plan going forward. I think discuss cleaning up that area. I do like reading the larger lots of nothing. Going forward, I personally, having heard lots of planning from many people in the past, I would probably be one of those that push hard to stay with a like designation, man. The old city, people become really actually speak, so we're not part of it, little by little, I recommend sticking to it forward, but I do like this painting up this morning. I think we saw that coming when we saw the this office thinking property. I can make it, but inside, so that's just two things.
Can I ask a question on that? If you amend the development agreement for Christopherson Ranch, is there any chance this is going to be thrown into the cluster situation? We'll end up with smaller lots on the 5 acres?
Not unless we did a development agreement with Mr. Jones. The only reason why we would need to amend the development agreement is to legally redefine where his parcel A would be that is designated the open space. And make sure that it maintains the space that we approved in the development agreement. It would just move that space. So that's the only reason why we would need to amend that development agreement, but that doesn't give any rights to Mr. Jones to develop into a cluster subdivision.
So can we reasonably assume we'll end up with two acre lots?
That would be a good assumption,
If
yes.
it was something different, come back to.
Yes.
So does that need to be in the recommendation? Recommend on their stipulation, or is that just unnecessary because of open standards?
If it has to come back as its own, that change for that. Which one have to come to this body to make a change in its own.
Yeah, a cluster development requires a development agreement, which is why we did that with Christopherson Ranch. So if that was something that he was wanting to do, it would have to come before this body.
And I wonder if that's really true, because the original Christopherson Ranch did not come to this body.
That's correct, but we learned our lessons.
So we learned the lesson, and that is legally have to come.
And I agree that I believe that we have corrected that since then, and you have seen development agreements since that time.
That's why we have the training.
That's correct.
Any other questions? Okay, hearing none, this was the next motion.
I'll make a motion to recommend Stillwater City Council, rezone for 540 west, 4300 north, and 85 to 82.
President made a motion to recommend to city council approval. We have a second.
Second.
A second by Brian. With discussion on the motion. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? It was unanimous. Yeah. Thank you very much. They want to see which guys are new up there. And a little bit of their path.
I would love to make a reading.
My daughter's.
So we only make paths with smaller lots. Clear.
You asked for that.
Yeah, let's be
We've missed Parsons hasn't been here. All right, thank you very much. We are here to close the end of our agenda. We have any issue for business.
Yes, I think we should say something or do something to. And she's. Back to this point.
I'm just gonna mention she is currently watching this meeting, so if you want to discuss this outside of the meeting. Or you can tip her off.
Miss Tammy, and she's not able to be with us this evening. We do appreciate that there's still more some. Hope she'll be back to bother us again next.
Yeah, you did a great job.
Is there anything from staff, from the staff?
No, I appreciate your patience with me pinch hitting with the packets and the agenda and the botched staff reports here, so thank you for being patient with me. We'll try and improve it in the future. Hopefully we won't have to be doing it for long, but we'll see. We also want Tammy to be able to recover.
Meryl's, thanks, Sarah, for doing this. Is there any crazy thing that we need to do, address tonight? Good. Hearing none, thank you, commissioners for showing up tonight. I appreciate it. Our next meeting is the first Thursday evening in September. We should be on schedule. If you have any training that we get done, make sure we finish those up and get those sent in information. Take a motion to close tonight. All in favor, say aye. Aye. 100%. If you choice to make a motion, we close. Thank you. Thank you.